Aye. Aye. Opposed? None carries.
Item 12, referral
Move it, Mr. President.
08260.
Moved by legislator Houghton, second by legislator Parker. Legislator Driscoll.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to follow up on the discussion at the Ways and Means Committee last week regarding the utility cost of the Civic Center garage. Legislator Haney had referenced a cost at that time, and we were going to do some research on it. And through you to the administration, can you tell me what the cost at that time was?
Through the President, the cost, confirming the cost that Legislator Haney established in the Ways and Means meeting on Thursday evening of approximately $1 million for the Civic Center garage. That's made up of a number of components, the majority of which are related to steam and electricity associated with that facility. That they can be broken up into two parts. Steam is steam heat for that facility, which was based on a square footage occupancy of the Civic Center Plaza, was approximately $600,000, and the electricity costs, again, an estimate based on the facility itself of approximately $100,000.
Through you, Mr. President, why is it that we didn't build the LDC directly?
Through the President, the sale agreement between Monroe County and the Civic Center, Monroe County LDC, requires Monroe County to pay for steam costs associated with the Civic Center Plaza, in which the heat does actually run through the garage, so ultimately pay for those costs. In addition, the electricity costs in the sales agreement states specifically that until separately metered, the electricity costs will be borne by Monroe County as well.
All right, through you, Mr. President, I understand that the steam heat or the heat for that garage is a contractual agreement between the county and the LDC. And I think, but then the electric, why wouldn't we bill that?
Through the President, again, going back to that sales agreement that was completed in December of 2003, specifically in that agreement, it states that the steam costs are Monroe County's to be borne on a go-forward basis, and the electricity costs, until they are separately metered, which we've determined to be cost prohibitive at this point, are to be borne by Monroe County as well.
Cost prohibitive to do that at this point in time. Are there other alternatives to recover that money?
Through the President, yes, there are other alternatives. It's a matter of fact, because of the ongoing negotiations that we have with Civic Center Monroe County LDC, we have come to discussions, numerous discussions at this point regarding utility costs and how they should be broken up. It's important to point out that in the initial sale agreement, when the business structure was set up, the LDC was looking for tax-exempt property for the operations, which would make their operating budget work, is my understanding. They were not granted that tax exemption and thus had to bear the cost of property taxes associated with that facility. So at the time, when this initially started up, the discussion was, we'll work with you and try and figure out what the right answer is at the end of the day. We continue to meet with the management of that group and talk exactly about utility costs, and have concluded that as of the end of 2007 and 2008, they were in a financial position to be able to provide us some agreed upon amount for electricity costs until we could actually determine to put in the separate meters for everyone's use.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. President, what is that agreed upon amount?
Through the President, based on the estimates that we had in 2003 of $100,000, we have been talking of that amount with the Civic Center LDC, and they have said that they would be more than amenable to paying $100,000 for electricity costs for this, even without the separate meter. Once the separate meter was established, we would go to they would pay it separately in their own budget versus reimbursing the county for that.
Thank you. Mr. President, in light of this kind of information, I'd like to offer an amendment to the budget. It's the copy that's been distributed. Be it moved that intro number 360 of 2008 be amended as follows. Revenue in the following account is increased as follows. Account 9001-120902000 unallocated county general commitment item 410205 miscellaneous revenue increased by $100,000. Appropriations are increased as follows. Account number 9001-120902000 unallocated county general commitment item 54205 commercial services cash capital by $100,000. Legislator Haney, in the interest of bipartisanship, would you like to second that amendment?
Yes, I'll second the amendment.
It accomplishes two of your objectives.
Partially. Having seconded this amendment, I'll offer an amendment to the amendment. And that is to increase the amounts from $100,000 to $400,000. The finance director has just told us that we're giving away
Second order, President.
We have a second?
Second, Mr. President.
Is it permissible to amend an amendment?
Yes, it is.
The finance director, I mean, I certainly am pleased that we're finally making some progress on two fronts here. And I must say that I claim this as a small victory because undoubtedly if we hadn't pursued these issues at the committee meetings, I'm sure this amendment wouldn't be before us tonight. But in the course of the discussion, the finance director indicated that the amount of steam that's being used by the garage based on the square footage, etc., is $600,000 a year. I know of no reason why at the same time that we're going to now recover the $100,000 of electricity, that we shouldn't recover at least half of the steam cost. So therefore, Mr. President, I would rise to amend the Driscoll-Haney amendment to increase the dollar amount from $100,000 to $400,000. I would point out that somebody, and it's not the LDC apparently, it may well be the leaser of the entity that leases the garage from the LDC, but somebody's making a lot of money here.
Mr. President, point of information. Apparently, Mr. Haney didn't hear the CFO's report back that paying for the heat in the Civic Center garage is part of the original contract and therefore not open to any kind of negotiation.
And I would submit to you, Mr. President, that that was a rotten deal. And that it's time to reopen the negotiations since the LDC is run out of the county's economic development office.
Point of order is that the amendment that was offered to the amendment is based incorrectly in fact and therefore out of order, and debate on it is even more out of order.
With all due respect, Mr. President, there's nothing more inappropriate than the rule amendment out of order because somebody wants to assert it's not based on fact.
The amendment is appropriate.
Thank you.
Discussion and the vote will deal with the validity of the amendment.
Right.
Please,
Mr. President, for clarification, how can the amendment to the amendment be acceptable when it's based on erroneous information?
The amendment still stands. The discussion to that second amendment will deal with that issue, and then the vote will deal with it.